streaming. Alright, turn that off. And then it should be on YouTube, right? Alright, now we have to go to our channel. Alright. My bad, guys. We're going to make sure we're doing everything correctly. Okay. Check 1 2. Okay. 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2. Okay, cool. Alright, hold on 1 second, guys. We're about to start. Let me just use the restroom real quick and grab a beer. We're going to keep it super chill today. Or we're going to try to, anyway. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, so mic's working correctly. It's on the right headset. Everything is ready to go. Making sure. That's kind of bright over there. Let's go ahead and turn this down a little bit. Excuse me, guys. Make it not so dark in here, or excuse me, not so bright in here. Make it more darker. Probably shouldn't be doing this with a beer, but I'm relaxing. It was a hot day today. I just got through doing some deliveries, about to do some more. Just want to chill for a second. Wait, do some deliveries later on. Waits for the sun to go down. Probably get it done around 7, maybe 8 o'clock, but we're chilling for now. And I don't know, man. Guess I'm triggered because I feel like someone's got to call a spade a spade. I feel like the only guy who really gets to the bottom of things is Malcolm Nance. He's the only one that I see really confirming a lot of the suspicions and a lot of things that I was concerned about. Let's go ahead and turn off the Xbox. Let's see what we have here. So, my problem with MSNBC, my problem with the news media is they're too soft on what's actually going on. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if we can get into exact detail. Do we have our library? Where's our library? Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's check this out.
We've got you taken care of, Sergeant Houston.
Let's see if
Thank you. That was fast.
One call to USAA got her a tow, her claim paid, and even her grandpa's dog.
So everything's set up right. I just want to make sure I had to update OBS.
Get a quote.
And I lost my USB. And
what we were suggested that they was like something from a medieval bottle.
I was dragged from.
Okay. I lost my USB ending, so I'm plugged directly into the computer. I didn't think it would work, but it does. All right, now here's the Capitol policeman who had to face the terrorists, who had to face the insurrectionists, who had to face the people who were trying to install a coup against the United States government to subvert the will of the American people, to subvert the vote of a fair and free democracy. And you got to understand that conspiracy theories, no matter how you feel about them, one conspiracy is one conspiracy, but the problem is they connect all these conspiracies. And now I look at things like 9/11 being an inside job with a little bit of doubt because of the people who represent it. Because here's the thing. 9/11 was an inside job, right? We want a clear, concise investigation on what happened and get more details and get more evidence on exactly what happened, because it's not clear on exactly what took place. I'm not talking about the planes hitting the buildings and things like that. Just information like, why did Bush send the bin Laden family to Saudi Arabia during all this? It was just certain things that are not alarming, but just makes me scratch my head and wonder, well, why is that? Information I'm not privy to because it's, I guess, maybe top secret or classified. I don't know. But it's peculiar. And that peculiarity causes a situation where there's doubt. The problem is you have people who exploit those questions and doubt and try to point you in a certain direction in order to control you. And that's the thing behind these conspiracy theories or conspirators, so-called truthers who try to wake you up. It's not about waking you up. It's about essentially controlling you, because then it becomes a situation where it's like, oh, well, you don't know what's really going on. We do. And you want to be with them, not us. And it becomes this sick cult. And that's what we're facing today. And even though I still have questions about what took place with certain things, the AIDS epidemic in Africa, things like that, even though I have my doubts or I have questions, it doesn't mean let's go to the White House and blow it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? And I voted for Joe Biden. Over 70 million people, around 80 million people. You know what? That's a good thing. Let's go to the votes real quick. Let's see. Biden versus Trump election. Let's try that and see what happens. Okay? Let's go right to it. Let's go right to the lies. Let's go right to the lies that this fat fucking demented fascist likes to bring up. You know what I'm saying? I think, and this is just me thinking, my conspiracy mind, I think Donald Trump let COVID-19 run wild because he knew his chances of winning a re-election were very slim. So what he did was he let that shit spread. That way they can try to cancel the election. When the election wasn't canceled and they had to go through it anyway, okay, he had plans in which he was going to undertake to undermine the election. He was going to do the same thing with Hillary Clinton. They asked him on the media, are you going to concede or are you going to admit that you lost if Hillary wins? He says, no, I'm not going to do that. We'll see when we get there. So he's doing the same thing he said he was going to do the first time. Okay. And then he said, remember this day. He's a fucking terrorist, piece of shit, scumbag, fucking criminal motherfucker. My question is, how come there isn't a warrant for his arrest? When bin Laden did 9/11, right? He was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. He was probably number one, right? With a $10 million bounty, wanted dead or alive, correct? Okay, so why is it when an attack on the Capitol was done, an insurrection, the worst one since 1812, or one up to par since 1812, right? I'm not sure if it was the war 1812. I don't remember the exact date. I got to look it up, but it was in the 1800s. The other insurrection, right, hasn't happened since now. Why is it that Donald Trump doesn't have a warrant for his arrest? That's one question that I have. How come he doesn't have a warrant for his arrest? Okay. Let's see. Election votes. Let's see if we get a more. It used to pop up right away. Like, how about this? How about this? When was the, let's see, 2020 election results? There we go. 2020 election results. Let's see what pops up. 2020 election results. Man, it'd be nice if Google still had their results up. And Google I don't trust for shit, because Google does a bunch of shady stuff. Alright, let's see here. Google's fucking weird, man. Google's on some bullshit. Let's see here. Shit didn't work out for you too much, huh, fat ass? You fucking demented piece of shit. Let's see. Alright. Vote count. Let's try something. Goddamn. I spelled that wrong. Here we go. Okay. Okay. For some reason, it's got the vice presidents, but it doesn't matter. Electoral votes 306. Electoral votes for Mike Pence and Donald Trump 232. For Kamala Harris and Joe Biden 306 for electoral colleges. Now, Donald Trump and Mike Pence lost the popular vote twice. They won the electoral vote once. They lost it the second time. So they lost the popular vote twice, lost the electoral college votes that get you elected once, the second time, okay? The total vote, okay, was 81 million people voted for Biden-Harris, okay? The most votes ever cast for a president in history, okay? 74 million votes were cast for Donald Trump and Mike Pence, the most ever cast in history for a loser in the election. Okay, this was the most voted election in our history. More people came and voted for this election than any other election in history. Okay, which makes sense because population rises as time goes on, right? For some reason, Donald Trump seems to think because he got the most votes that a loser has ever gotten before, that it makes him the best second place finisher in history, and somehow he gets first. Last I checked, second place is second place. Last I checked, losing is losing, whether it's one vote or whether it's 1 million. You lost by 7 million. Hold on, let's see. 7,052,000 votes around there, okay? 7 million more people voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So every time that fat, disgusting slug goes up on stage and talks about the most votes ever, he's talking about how he got the most votes because ever for a loser, because more people voted for this election than any other time before. He didn't get the most votes, period, because he would have. Here's the thing. How can you say it's rigged, right? He says this is how you know it's bullshit. He says it's rigged, but yet he's championing that he got the most votes ever for a second place finisher. Which one is it? They robbed you, or you got the most votes ever? You see, this is how easy it is to debunk Donald Trump, because everything he does is It's a contradiction. Everything he says is a contradiction. He says both sides of the story, which is impossible. It's either one or the other. It can't be that you won the election with the most votes ever if you didn't get 81 million votes. Did you get 81 million? No. Okay? So there's just so much to cover with this fucking imbecile. All right? But, if I'm, maybe I'll watch this video back and try to see where I was trying to lead the conversation and go towards. But the bottom line is, he got second. He lost. It is what it is. But for some reason, he keeps on championing that he got the most votes for a second place finisher. Yeah, you got 74 million votes. The most for a loser in presidential history. Joe Biden got 81 million votes. The most ever for a winner in presidential history. Okay? Which one is it, Mr. Trump? Which one is it, Donald? You got the most votes? Okay? Or they rigged it. It can't be both. Because if it's rigged, then you shouldn't even care about the amount of votes you got. Because they rigged it. But yet your ego won't let you let go of the fact that you got 74 million votes. Which is true. You have to talk about what actually was beneficial. Right? Because your ego won't let you. But you're going to say it's rigged because you lost. You see what I'm saying? It's all about personal perception with this guy. And whatever you guys decide to go along with, that's on you, man. If you guys don't do your history and don't look at the facts. Now, I have a problem with this video. Let's get into it. Let's watch this shit.
From the line of officers and into the crowd. I heard someone scream, "I got one."
I was effectively defenseless and gradually sustaining injury from the increasing pressure of the mob.
Then the crowd, perhaps around 20 people, joined in screaming, "Boo!" No one had ever called me while wearing the uniform of a captain.
I've been called the N-word numerous times, unfortunately, especially recently. But I don't wear a Capitol Police uniform, so maybe they don't call the N-word to policemen as much. But I don't know. I've been called several times the N-word since I was a boy till now.
Capitol Police officer.
Harrowing testimony.
Or a child, I should say.
From the officers on the front lines of the insurrection from yesterday's January 6th.
Now, you could tell she's a little bit emotional and stuff, but here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. This girl worked, Nicole Wallace, I believe her name is. She worked on the Bush campaign. It was the Bush administration and their position on radical fundamentalist Islamic terrorism that gave way to the xenophobic, racist, prejudicial form of political acceptance in the United States that led to a Donald Trump being able, and the Republican Party being what it is today. Because when you guys were in the White House, when Bush was in there, when Cheney was in there, okay, you guys said some of the most craziest racist shit at the time that gave that laid down the groundwork for a person like Donald Dumbass to come in there.
Select Committee's first hearing is about the brutal violence they faced, and in the case of Officer Harry Dunn, the shocking racism on full display in the halls of the Capitol that day.
It's not really shocking. It's not really shocking when you understand when there's an argument that happens with a disgruntled person against a black person, a person that has mental illness or gets mad, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is something racist.
That dose of
just so you know, I mean, that's been my experience. I don't know about you guys. Hey, baby. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing a podcast kind of thing, so if you hear me turning up, being loud and stuff, it's because I had some beer and I'm doing a podcast. What's up? How you doing? Good. I'm glad to see you. You had a good day? Yeah. All right. That's awesome. We don't have any Trisnell, huh? No. I worked Uber today. I made about $20. I'm going to work again probably in about 2 hours, 3 hours. Hopefully I make another 50. So then I'll be able to get us some food and some things. The dog? No, not yet. Oh, you're wearing your those look really, really nice. You're welcome.
Of reality about what really happened on January 6th from those officers. seem to represent a direct threat to the right's campaign to downplay and whitewash and rewrite the history of January 6th. Here's how Fox News reacted.
My bad, guys. It's hot. I live in the San Fernando Valley. It's very hot. And so I'm going to put the fan speed on 1 so it's not loud, but it's going to make a noise in the background. I apologize, but it's hot. Plus, I'm drinking some beer too, so that adds even more to the heat or whatever. It's a little too dark in here. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that's not too much brightness. Shit. Damn it. This is a little too bright. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's watch this.
To that same hearing last night.
God save us from these third-rate theatrics. Now, the award for best use of an exaggeration in a...
Okay, so third-rate theatrics. So who's putting on the theater show? Who's putting on an act? Okay? By the way, this Nazi bitch, Laura Ingraham, right? And Tucker Carlson, they're opinionated news. What does that mean? That means it's not based on fact, but what they think. It's not factually based. Somebody could think that, I don't know, when you jump off of a roof, you'll actually fly, right? That doesn't mean it's true. Okay? That doesn't mean it's true. Right? Jump off a roof and find out what happens. Don't jump off a roof. We all know what's going to happen. Okay? But every time Tucker Carlson has gotten in trouble, Tucker Swanson Carlson has gotten in trouble, he takes the Alex Jones approach and says, oh, I'm just an actor doing opinions. I'm not serious. People are not taking me serious. No, people are taking these people serious as the truth. Because it gives them an excuse to be racist. It gives them an excuse to be hateful. These people are enablers that provide millions upon millions of people who are responsible for their hatred. Okay? It gives them, I don't know, they feel like they're entitled to their racism because of people like this who don't really speak in a pure form of deliverance of understanding what it is that they're personally trying to convey in its root. No, they do it in an ambiguous type form, and they frame it and they move it into a position where there's doubt, because their job is to cast doubt. Their job is to never go along with the opposition according to them, of what the opposition is supposed to be, right? They're never going to say Donald Trump was wrong for what he did. And if they do, they'll backpedal and walk it back, okay? Which they've done several times. One minute they say don't get a vaccine. The next minute when things get heavy and there's people dying and the rates are triple, they say go get a vaccine. They don't know what to do, okay? Because they have, this is what happens when you're a partisan hack. And these are partisan hacks. Fox News, which I don't watch, is nothing but more than pure fairy tale. Okay?
Supporting role. The winners, Aquilina.
So they're acting, they're lying, they're partisans, but you're not. The victims who, we all see the tapes. We all see the tapes of them being attacked, hit with poles, hit with chairs, having crutches thrown at them. We see Vice News showing how one guy lifted his shirt and had guns. They had guns. They were a violent mob of disgruntled, ignorant hacks. Okay? All right? That there was no basis of fact in their statements or in what occurred, how they believe they were wrong. There was no facts in that whatsoever. The entitlement that they felt, that they could just walk into the White House and take it over. What about you? Is that what you wanted? Is that what you as an American, I'm talking to Americans. I don't give a fuck about people from another country. They unfortunately have our news to look at, and they focus on us instead of themselves. I don't give a fuck about that. They can't vote. They have no, in my opinion, they have no opinion on what happens in the country because they can't affect the outcome of how to change what's wrong in their minds, right? So I don't feel like they're even relevant to the situation. So I don't give a fuck about them. But when it comes to people here who actually can vote, you guys are the ones that are important. Okay? Future people coming here with the possibility of becoming citizens and voting, you guys are important also. And I don't necessarily feel like because you want an opportunity that you're not granted that opportunity. I feel like the opportunity that was given to my family coming up is an opportunity that can essentially occur for any family. Everybody wants to live the American dream, and I feel like that's something that should be available to people who want to experience that. Okay, and it's just about the means in which we go about allowing people to experience that. But using racism in border politics is extremely wrong, and that's what these people do. Okay, because when it came to what did Donald Trump say? And you can look it up. How come people from Denmark aren't coming here? So it wasn't about illegal immigration. It was about the type of people who were coming here, the color of the people, where they were coming from. Mexicans, no. Denmark, sure, come on ahead, which is class 101 racism. And I hope that the Biden administration essentially goes after the people who used the border security task force as a means of promoting white supremacy.
Gunnell, the award for blatant use of partisan politics when facts fail, the angle.
When facts fail. This is an opinionated show. This is opinions. These are opinions from these people. This is not real. Okay? Alright, the fact is, Donald Trump went on stage and said you have to take your country back with strength, and that's what they attempted to do. Okay? And a crowd of 10,000, 20,000 people were fought off by 100 policemen. That's the facts. Okay? And those 100 policemen were the last line of defense for democracy, and they succeeded. And we're indebted to them beyond comprehension. Okay? We're indebted to them. The sacrifice that they made was similar to the sacrifices that the military makes when they go abroad and they fight for us. Okay? But I can't stand this person, obviously, you already know. Because nothing that comes out of this person's mouth is the truth, because nothing that comes out of the person they represent, Zent's mouth, is the truth. Okay? So, the point I'm trying to make is, don't believe the policeman is what they're saying. Don't believe the policeman. But believe us? Believe Donald Trump? Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe what you saw took place on video. They're just Democrats making up stories. They're political hacks. It was a bright and sunny day on the 6th. Everyone sang Kumbaya and had love songs. There was a peace gathering. There was flower power. Everybody was fine and dandy. Everything was totally okay. Did you see the beach balls that were being thrown around, and everybody was singing, and they were all singing John Lennon, Imagine, and all this? It's bullshit. None of that happened, okay? We all saw the video of, oh, okay? We all saw that video of motherfuckers, like 30 to 50 people pushing, okay, to try to break the door down. Why? Because it was a Proud Boy PSYOP military operation to try to fucking overthrow the government.
Award goes to Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn. And for best performance in an action role, the winner is Michael Fanone.
Watch Fanone cite these.
So Fanone and all the policemen, their credibility and what they said should be doubted. But a man that tells over 20,000 lies during his presidency, a man who double talks and calls the coronavirus a hoax but then wants credit for the vaccine, he's telling the truth. Okay? A pathological psychopath is telling the truth. But these police officers who fought for us and made sure that they instilled democracy, they're lying? That's what you're saying? You're saying that Donald Trump is telling the truth, but they're lying. That's what you're saying. So Zelensky was lying when Donald Trump said, "We need you to do us a favor, though." Get the fuck out of here.
Psychological trauma he endured as an excuse for ditching our Bill of Rights.
I've been left with the psychological trauma and the emotional anxiety of having survived such a horrific event.
What they went through, nobody could understand unless you're actually going. People talk all this shit. Oh, I would have done this. I would have done that. But bullshit. You don't know until you're actually going through it. These guys, and this is their job, but these guys were put on the front line to face something that a lot of us haven't had to face. Thousands upon thousands of fascists. Mind controlled or not. Okay? Because at this point, it's like, I don't really give a shit about that. Because they made a choice. They made a choice to go along with the birtherism and the racism and all that shit. That's the choice they made. Okay? But yeah, it's a lot of trauma that these guys got beat in the head with fucking lead pipes. That's not traumatic? Also, too, you gotta understand. These people have been saying that they're Blue Lives Matter all about the police for so long. Now that they're seeing what they're seeing coming from these type of motherfuckers, it's traumatic because the people that you thought represented you, that you thought you were the closest with, have now effectively turned their backs on you because you did your duty and you did your job, which they claim to have championed as having your back and always standing up for you. Not only did they not stand up for you, they physically attacked you, okay? And now they're attacking your character on top of that, even though you're the victim. Republicans, especially those in Fox News and those in Congress, I mean, all across the board, when you don't go along with the lines of the party, they attack you. They attack your character. They attack your quote unquote credibility. These are quote unquote legal tactics. You know, what you do is when a witness is like Johnny Cochran did during the OJ trial, Mark Furman, right? He was a racist. He said racist statements. He said, "Have you ever said a racist statement?" Mark Furman said no. So they played a tape of Mark Furman saying the N-word. Okay, now he lied under oath. That's one thing. Okay, so they, I'm just giving you a brief summary. But the point was attacking the credibility. This is not a credible witness, okay? So instead of attacking Donald Trump, who's a pathological, narcissistic egomaniac, okay, they're going to attack the victims of the crime, just like they did Reality Winner. They supposedly like whistleblowers when it's Eric Snowden and when it's fucking Julian Assange and shit like that. But when it was Reality Winner, they didn't like that shit.
Let's pray for them, huh? Joining us now, Congresswoman Elaine Lurie.
No, let's not pray for them. That's the problem. You want to pray for them. They don't. You know what they're praying for, Nicole? They're praying for our deaths. That's what they're praying for. So why would I pray for them when they're praying for our deaths? Why would I pray for them when they're essentially promoting the agenda of Vladimir Putin to divide the United States? What this whole thing is about is Putin's revenge against us because we dissembled the USSR. So now Putin, what he's trying to implement is the breaking up of the United States. And I hate to say this, but it's an extremely successful attempt thus far, because there seems to be no indication that the other side is willing to admit that it's gone off the rails and has essentially believed in lies in order to not admit they're wrong. Okay, which is a delusion, right? They're delusional, but because they can't admit that, they're just going to go along. And this took place during the Obama administration. When Obama was president, you had people in the right-wing evangelical community saying, oh, he's the devil, he wasn't even born here, blah, 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 blah. Look at Putin. This is a real leader, a murdering dictator who tries to squash any dissenting opinion about him. His tyrannical abuses on people, his murderous bloodlust that people expose, he will then in turn kill them, kidnap them, kill them, hold them in prison indefinitely, and essentially murder them because he feels that he has the ability to do so. Just because he feels he is the law. See, that's not law. That's mafia. Is when one person's on top that controls other people, that then in turn goes and subjects people to either in some type of detriment, whether it be death, prison, or internment, right? That is what Putin is. And this is all Putin's agenda. And Putin essentially needs to pay for what he did.
Maria of Virginia, a member of the January 6th Select Committee. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. I wonder, and this is a serious question, how you shield the dignity of these officers who've already sacrificed their bodies and their mental.
That's simple. You deny anything that doesn't go along with your agenda. So it's, guy comes up and tries to fight you, right? You say, I don't want any problems, man. Leave me alone. He grabs you by the shirt, throws you down on the ground, starts trying to hit you. You block, you grab his hand, you pull him, and you drag yourself back up. You throw him down and you stomp on his face. The police come, okay? And you're like, man, this guy attacked me. He wouldn't leave me alone. He tried to hurt me. And the guy says, oh man, this guy fucking out of nowhere just grabbed me, threw me on the floor, started stomping on me. I'm scared for my life, man. I'm just a normal person, right? This is essentially what's happening. It's the denialism of people who are just not going to admit that they're wrong. Not just that they're wrong, but they're actually the instigators in creating a situation where they're trying to essentially just fucking do whatever they want to do, kill whoever they want to kill, because they feel like they have the authority to do so. It's sick.
Health and their physical health and their careers and their reputations, who are now on the receiving end of menacing voicemails in the case of Officer Fernandez.
Again, they're getting death threats and all these things. If your cause is just and you're on the right side, what's with the death threats? Okay? If you're doing the right thing and you're on the side of justice, what's with the terrorist threats? What's with the terrorist threats? Maybe because you're a fucking terrorist.
Known and threats to their lives and their safety.
Well, first I want to start out by saying, that these men were incredibly brave for the actions they took that day, for really holding the last line of defense at the Capitol. Truly, I believe the last line of defense for our democracy by the actions they took. And then by coming and telling that story of their traumatic physical and emotional injuries, the brutality that they faced. And then, I hadn't seen these clips that you just showed before right now, and it just makes my stomach turn. I feel that, this network that portrays these officers this way, they're just actively undermining the heroic, service that those officers did that day.
100% correct. But not only that, what they're doing is they're making it to where the criminals are the victims and the victims are the criminals. You see what I'm saying? That's the whole goal here. The goal is to make it to where the people who are victimized had a right to be victimized, and the people who are criminals had a right to do criminality. That's what we're facing. And until you guys call a spade, we're going to be facing this problem, if not worse, in the future.
to save the Capitol, to
And I'm pretty sure it's going to be worse.
prevent the mob from overtaking the certification of the election results, seeking out to hang in the gallows that they had put out for Vice President Pence. And ultimately what it shows me is that I really feel that the large majority of House Republicans today are really, truly morally bankrupt. I think that...
Okay, this is the reason why I got online and did this live video in the first place. This is not about morality fucking tea. The morality fucking thing fucking flew away fucking years ago. This is not about morality. This is about criminal behavior, regardless of moral intent. Fuck morals, okay? Because they have none. It's already been established. They've gone beyond morals and have ventured into terrorism. So if you don't call terrorism terrorism and criminality criminality, you're a part of the fucking problem. You're making it seem like it's a moral issue that 7 people fucking died during the insurrection. That is not a moral issue. That's not morality. That's terrorism. That's criminality. That's Nazism. That's fascism. And you and Nicole Wallace are a part of the problem with statements like that about morality. Okay? They're morally bankrupt. What the fuck does that even mean? They're morally bankrupt. We know this. We know they're for the highest bidder anyway. And they have no spine or backbone. That they have none but party allegiance. No shit. Duh. Like, morality? Are you fucking serious? Morality? You guys need to stop with the whole morality shaming. They have no fucking shame. When a pedophile, okay, who's on trial, doesn't resign from his political position, alright, and has the nerve to walk out in daylight and face people with lies, no shit, they're not moral. Okay? When Gatesgate is going around out there like a fucking idiot, looking like a doofus, when he's got little girls saying that they were molested by this dude, okay? Morality flew out the fucking window. Alright? So let's not talk about morality, because that ship has fucking sailed fucking 6-7 years ago. 16, 20, maybe even 40 years ago, to be honest with you guys. Okay? We're now in terrorist land. We're now in criminal mob world. Let's have trial by combat is what they said. Okay? So let's not mix words and try to make it seem like, oh, they're not, oh, can you believe that they actually didn't walk an old lady across the street? No, they didn't walk the old lady across the street and then they blew her fucking head off. That's what happened.
We look at this and say, how did this happen? It happened gradually over the course of these 4 years, and then suddenly this event on January 6th happens and shows the threat that faces us. And I think about it, there's just very few people, very few Republicans right now that represent people like John McCain. And
They won't. For some reason, John McCain is like this big hero now. When he fucking was the proponent, he was the proponent fucking figure that blocked Obama and him getting his bills passed because he lost the election. But we're supposed to look at McCain like he's somehow this deified fucking last bastion of Republican I don't know, morality or fucking integrity. There we go. Integrity. There we go. Because again, morality, that ship is sailed. Integrity. Supposedly we're supposed to act like, oh, that was the last integral fucking senator or whatever the fuck. No, dude. Like, he fucking was a partisan hack as well. What are you talking about?
And late Senator John Warner. And it's just distressing to see that they're denigrating and undermining the work of these brave officers.
For better or for worse.
Yes, it is. It's horrible. And again, they will turn on a dime if it doesn't suit their agenda. Okay, not political, just agenda as a whole. You know, we have to stop allowing people to hide behind politics, because what's going to happen is people who have a natural inclination for deviant behavior, they're going to enter in the political world because they know if they enter in the political world, they can get away with anything. Okay? So we have to stop creating these situations where we feel like, oh, you know what? What the fuck did she say? Hold on.
It's just distressing to see that they're denigrating and undermining the work of these brave officers.
We have to stop acting as if like this is so shocking, because if you go against the Republican Party, they will try to discredit you and attack you. If you kiss their ass, they love you. It's the same thing with Donald Trump. It's no different. It's the same fucking thing.
For better or for worse, I spent some time in the Republican Party, and I have this thought.
Oh, you did, huh? You did, huh? You brought about one of the worst presidents in fucking presidential history. If it wasn't for this Trump fucking, I don't even know what to call this pig, man. This fucking maggot. If it wasn't for this maggot who somehow conned his way into the White House, you would be responsible for the worst president in history. But you spend some time in the Republican Party. Get the fuck out of here.
And I wonder what you think about this theory. I mean, this isn't a great story for them. They're doing that for a reason. And some of their most devoted regulars, people like Jim Jordan and Kevin McCarthy, may have a whole lot.
Jim Jordan, the guy who was a wrestling coach and knew that there was fucking pedophilia going on with people and didn't say anything and fucking kept it under wraps. That Jim Jordan?
Stake here if they're subpoenaed. And I wonder if you see this as part of the defense strategy, and if you will be chilled by that. Will you subpoena Jim Jordan, who said on Fox News that he may have talked to Donald Trump that day? He talks to him all the time. And Kevin McCarthy, who we all know, talked to Donald Trump that day.
Okay. Maybe I would say, yeah, subpoena him because he's a piece of shit. Clearly, he now admits he was talking on the phone with Trump that day. I wouldn't be surprised if him and a bunch of people were involved with actually having these people come in. That's not surprising to me. And yeah, they should be subpoenaed, but there should also be people like, I don't know, let's see. Donald Trump should be subpoenaed. Donald Trump should be subpoenaed because Donald Trump was the one who essentially said what he said and told him to go to the White House in general. Subpoena him. Put a warrant for his fucking arrest. When Osama bin Laden did 9/11, there was a warrant for his arrest instantaneously. We never heard a word from Osama bin Laden, okay? Donald Trump is on the media every day talking about madness, saying the craziest shit that anyone's ever fucking said before. But because somehow he has millions and millions of followers, we're supposed to fucking just like take the shit? Like, no, dude, you're either a criminal or you're not. You're either a terrorist or you're not. And Donald Trump is a fucking terrorist. I don't care he's not the one going to the actual White House himself because he's a fucking coward and leading the people in. He's the one that told him to go in the fucking first place. Okay? So subpoena Donald Trump.
Well, I'll say that when we've all said this on the committee, that we will subpoena anyone and everyone that it's necessary to subpoena to get the full information of what happened that day. And, do I feel like they're acting like someone who has something to hide? It sure seems like that. I mean,
subpoena Rudy Giuliani, okay? Donald Trump, anyone who was at that fucking fair or whatever and knew what he was going to, his staff at the time because he was president, subpoena them. Jared, Ivanka, I don't give a fuck. Everyone who was in that, around the administration, subpoena all of them and ask them, when did you know that Donald Trump was upset about the election and was planning on denying the integrity of the election? Boom! That's it. And let them talk and see what they say. And they're going to give up more information, okay, based upon what they know. And you're going to get more than just that softball question, because the question I asked is really a softball question. Okay, you could actually go even harder and say, when did you know that this person was essentially a terrorist or whatever the fuck? But that's a good question to ask them and let them talk and let the bones fly out of their mouth.
They said right after the events of January 6th that this was a horrific day. Kevin McCarthy himself called this an insurrection.
Again, the double speak, the double talk, the double fucking shit. Oh, you know, they were singing. Look, I'll use this fucking maggot as a fucking, this cockroach as an example. Oh, they were singing Kumbaya, and there was so much love in the air. It was so much love, what he said afterwards. But during the incident, he said the same thing. But he also said, remember this day, because this is what happens when you don't have a fair and free election. In his mind, it wasn't fair and free. Okay? But he's basically saying, yeah, this is your fault, motherfuckers. This is your fault. Okay? Watch what happens next time. Watch what happens next time. This is what happens when you don't let me do what I want to do. I'm going to sick my fucking pit bulls on you. I'm going to sick my mosquitoes on you to suck your blood. My parasites, my fellow parasites, I'm going to send them over to you. Because we're not wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. But we'll bash your skulls in. In the name of denialism. Delusion. This shit is sick, man. This shit is fucking
Yet somehow he's forgotten that. Somehow he's forgotten.
The double talk. That's what they do. They double talk. I want credit. Oh, this is a hoax. The Democrats used the coronavirus as a hoax. They created the coronavirus. They're the ones that are behind it. They're working with China. Did you know that Biden funded a Chinese lab? And they're working with China. They created the virus to undermine my election. Oh, but by the way, it's all a hoax and it's not even real, and coronavirus is just a little flu and it doesn't even bother you and it doesn't even affect you. And by the way, can I get credit for the vaccine?
The fact that he himself was in the Capitol overrun by this mob of insurrectionists and rioters, and personally,
Trump, these are your people. Not these are fellow Republicans. Not what have you done with the voters. Not we got Republicans coming over here trying to attack us. These are our people. He said these are your people. Your people are over here. Your cult people are over here. Your fucking apprentice nutsuckers are over here. Well, I guess you don't care about the election as much as they do. Okay? In what world do you need that to be decoded? In what world does that not strike out to you as a fucking clear indication that his agenda was to cause chaos and terrorism for a fair and free election because he wasn't happy about what actually took place in the results? It wasn't about, oh, they care more about the election than you. No, they suck his dick more than you do. And they're willing to fucking go and blow shit up in the name of lies for a person. A regular ass person. Not a god. Not any of that bullshit. But a regular fucking person. They're willing to do whatever they want for a man. For just some schmo. Well, I guess you don't care about the election as much as they do. What he's basically saying is, fuck you, motherfucker. You're not backing me up on this shit. I'm going to have them come to your office. I'm not going to stop them. I'm not going to tell them after they had already caused damage. And he's trying to say, oh, there was love and peace. But when McCarthy said, hey, we're in trouble. They're killing people. There's shit going down. Motherfuckers is dying. It's wild over here. It's turned into a chaotic event. Well, I guess you don't care about the election more than they do. Not that I'm going to do what I can to stop them. This shit has gone out of control. No, I guess you don't care about the election more than they do. That is a clear statement of guilt, motive, everything. But Donald Trump has not been subpoenaed. There's no warrant for his arrest. Nothing. Why? Because they're scared of a rabid, gun-toting, terrorist society that is the Anglo-Saxon Republican fucking evangelical KKK terrorists. That's what they're. I probably said terrorist twice, but that's what they're afraid of. You gotta stand up. If you don't stand up, then you will lay down. You have to stand up, regardless of what the effects are. Look, I know that Putin is behind this shit. I know that Putin has his finger up everyone's ass. I know that. Okay? Do I want to go through with a civil war? Of course not. It's stupid. Okay? Killing other Americans is wrong. Like, this makes no sense, right? But these people have made up their minds. Their minds are made up, regardless of whether it's propaganda and they've been brainwashed. You guys haven't regulated the internet. The internet needs to be regulated because there's too much fraudulent disinformation that's allowed to spread. And the people I hold responsible is the CEOs of Google, the CEOs of Facebook, the CEOs of Twitter, any of these social media platforms, the CEO of YouTube, even though Google and YouTube are the same entity, they're all responsible. And they need to be held criminally responsible for their inaction. But when you give them a pass, you give these other people a pass. And that's essentially what you guys don't seem to understand.
At danger, and it's just acting like it didn't happen and pushing forward the other members of his caucus who are saying things like, this was nothing other than a group of tourists enjoying.
So I'm supposed to believe you, but not the videos that I see. So what, they doctor the videos? It's crisis actors. They weren't real. Oh, it was Antifa. It's just fascism at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. It was this guy who started the Reichstag fire. Oh, it was the Jewish people. They're the reasons why you're broke. It's the Jews. That's what we're supposed to go along with?
Going the Capitol, which is absolutely ludicrous.
There's so much anecdotal evidence and reporting that so many of you knew that this day could be violent. I've interviewed half a dozen members who either wore sneakers or told a spouse where their will could be found.
I saw one of them fucking KKK fascist motherfuckers wearing Yeezys. I stopped wearing Yeezys after that. No more Yeezys. Fuck Kanye. If I see Kanye, it's going to be a problem.
How deep will the investigation go into who knew what ahead of time? Can you just explain the investigation into the intel piece and what was known and how you will pursue that part of the investigation?
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, there's lots of pieces to the investigation. As far as the intel piece, I think we need to go back to, all of the different elements of the government that, have a piece in monitoring these types of threats, identifying credible threats, passing that information along to the appropriate law enforcement agencies, whether that be federal, state, or local, to ensure that proper actions and preparations are taken. So a breakdown of intelligence is something that really, I'm convinced.
See, it's deeper than the simplification of what conspiracy theories try to say. Oh, they fucking stopped the election. All right. You just heard her talk about numerous different things. How there's a layer upon layer of things. You have the company that was in charge of the machines that allowed that were contracted to have the machines do the vote counting or do the essential voting. You have the people that worked there. You have the apparatus in which it was essentially brought together. There's layers upon layers of shit. But when the problem with conspiracy theorists is that you throw this blanket of they, the government, these people, that they're all the same. No people are all the same. You have bad actors, and you have those that are not bad actors that can hold the same position. Okay? You have good police, you have bad police. You have criminals and people who abide by the law. There's a difference. But when you fucking just paint a broad brush, anyone could fit that.
Is that, there's somebody behind this. There's money behind this somewhere. Yeah. Someone paid for these people to come to DC in buses. We heard of, anecdotally of crowdsourcing, of different ways that money was. That's
essentially what needs to get figured out, is who was the people that put the money behind this scenario. Because obviously, look, I don't have the money to go and just head over to the White House and start kicking up dust, but thousands of people do. clearly they were funded somehow, and you have to get down to the bottom of it and hold those entities responsible for that. And she's right about that. That's something she's 100% right about. You have to get down to the minutia, not just, oh, they did an insurrection. If we take their same approach, they did an insurrection, they're all responsible. No, we need to find out who funded it, who funded it, who planned it, who knew about it beforehand, where the whole thing came from, who was behind it, who orchestrated it, who were the people that essentially brought it about. That's what you need to find out.
Raised amongst these organizations,
and fucking Donald Dumbass is key fucking enemy number one and shit.
Groups. So I think there's just a lot of evidence that needs to be collected to understand, where did the money and the resources for something like this come from, and who did it, where did it come There's even, reports and the possibility of some sort of foreign interference in pushing these groups and instigating this through online means. So there's a lot to be.
You hear what she said there? She already talked about something that I'm keenly aware of, is foreign interference from foreign people that are trying to essentially promote the destruction of the United States. These so-called patriots go along with Chinese propaganda and Russian propaganda with no question, but they don't trust the government. So let me get this straight. I'm supposed to not trust my government, right? But I don't question where the information that comes to me about my government being corrupt, I don't question the agenda of the people who give me that information, or essentially where it's coming from. Really?
We looked at, and that is certainly the work of this committee to make sure that we overturn every stone to find that information and really understand the full picture of what happened that day, what led up to that day, and find ways to prevent something like this from ever happening again in the future.
How much of understanding that involves the president and the White House? The new book by Carol Leonnig and Phil Rucker builds on some of the.
If you don't regulate fraud on the internet, this will always happen, and it'll happen again and again and again until you do. You have to regulate fraud on the internet.
Reporting in the Washington Post about how he delighted in watching the insurrection as it took place. There's some reporting that Mike Pence was the one who ultimately had to call in the National Guard. There's that big gap in time. I mean, how much of your investigation will ultimately center on what the president knew and did and when he did it?
It's certainly part of it. I think Liz Cheney outlined this very well in her opening statement yesterday. And I think we all agree we need to understand what happened, what was happening in the White House, what the reaction was, and all that chain of events, why it took so long for the National Guard to respond, what the reaction was, once this violence started, and the reaction to that, and different people's roles in the day of. We talk a lot about the rally that happened on the Ellipse, the sort of call to action that appears to have happened there to encourage people to head towards the Capitol, plus other activity that happened before that. Some of the reporting that I've seen, there were many groups that they kind of pre-staged themselves closer to the Capitol, and are part of the, groups of people that, are being investigated for having coordinated pre-planned actions. So all of this, there's a lot for us to investigate.
You got to find out who those people are, man. You got to find out who those people are. And it's a tough job. They got a tough job. But I have a problem with you trying to morally shame these people back into reality. Once you decide to go with Russia, I don't give a fuck if it's 2 people or 200 million. Once you turn your back on your own country and you decide to side with another country, it is what it is. It is what it fucking is. Okay? I don't have time to morally shame people back into reality. They have a choice. They made a choice. They chose whiteness. They chose fascism. They chose authoritarianism over democracy, over the Constitution, and over equality. It is what it is. I don't care that Putin gave them the materials in which they needed and capitalized on the situation. Yeah, it's tragic. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, Putin needs to pay, but they made a choice. All right, so that's it. Yeah, I just had to say something about it, man, because it's like, fuck morality at this point. Like, I'm not trying to shame anybody. You have no shame. When you show up to the White House to kill cops, you have no shame. When you show up to the White House because of a lie, you have no shame. When you lose the election and you can't admit you lost because it didn't turn out the way you wanted to, you have no fucking shame. There's no morality thing to talk about. Enough with the morality. It's criminality, not morality. Okay? That's what we're dealing with. Okay? We're dealing with criminals. Watch Malcolm Nance. He's one of the few people that calls a spade a spade. Okay? The Republicans are trying to merely make this thing look like it's political. It's not political. It's criminal. Okay? When you cross that line into criminality, I'm sorry, you crossed the line. You can't just start busting shots and being like, well, hey, you know what? They disagreed with my statements. If that's the case, then I could just start blowing people away on the street right now, right? I can just walk up to people and shoot them on the street because I don't like them or I don't like the result of what occurred of them not giving me what I felt I was due, right? No, wrong. You can't do that. Okay? That would be the breaking down of society, which is what Vladimir Putin wants, which is why Vladimir Putin has to pay for what he did. Okay? Vladimir Putin has to pay. All right? He has to pay. Yeah, we got to get these Republicans and these fascists and these enablers, of course. But number one priority is Putin. Putin has to go. Putin is the one responsible for this shit. RTTV should not be allowed to run on YouTube in any sense at all. Lawsuit, no lawsuit, I don't give a fuck. Okay? Russian propagandist television should not have any place in American society, should not be able to be presented to Americans whatsoever. And those that promote Russian propaganda in the name of the Russian state to promote their lies, they're criminally responsible as well. So YouTube needs to be held responsible for allowing the Alex Joneses, the RTs, the Joe Rogans, the Jimmy Dories, the TYTs, the Tucker Carlsons, the fucking, all these dipshits on the internet. Okay? All of them. There's too many to mention. All these grifters, all these fucking money-hungry, supposedly justice people, they need to be held responsible. Okay? For siding with Russia. Okay? The Julian Assanges. Okay? Those that promoted this bullshit. Alright? This all started during the Clinton campaign over the emails. That's where this shit started. Everyone who was responsible for that shit, for allowing this fucking lie to surface, they all need to pay a price. Whether it's jail time, okay, or to have their platform taken away, they have to pay a fucking price because now we're in the midst of a civil war and they are the cause of it. Jimmy Dore, TYT, Fox News, okay, Kyle Kalisnik, all this bullshit on the internet, all right, they are responsible. They are responsible. Okay, Alex Jones called for the death of Democrats on his show. That's why he was kicked off of Twitter. They played the video, then they deleted the video, and now it's hard to find. Then you had Jimmy Dore and Joe Rogan go on Joe Rogan's show and say, "Oh, well, I don't know, freedom of speech." It is not fucking freedom of fucking speech to say you're gonna kill somebody. That's not freedom of speech. That's criminal death threats. There's a difference. There's a fucking difference. And if you can't understand the difference between freedom of speech and criminal death threats, then you need to shut the fuck up and not say anything because you don't have the mental capacity to deal with this shit. I'm out of here.